Coming up, a Sad Styles production. Get into it!
What's up, D-pads? Join us as we take a hard left turn through a pane of glass and drive straight through a watermelon stand as we revisit the 20-year-old driving-based simulator Stuntman on the PS2 this week on the Retrograde podcast. Welcome to the Retrograde podcast, where we remind you what you used to love and whether or not you still should.
I'm Andrew Bascom, and with me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Steve Mikey Ween Aaronworth.
Steve Mikey Ween.
Well, he's such a good driver,
He
Andrew.
is
He's
such a good
basically his own
driver.
stuntman.
Oh my goodness, that's Mikey Aaronworth, and we're back for another week on the Retrograde podcast.
We're back for another week to celebrate the 20-year anniversary of a game that I don't know if many other people liked as much as I did, but I think it does actually have quite a bit of a cult following.
Yeah.
A fault following.
Yeah, a fault following.
Some people want to say.
Yeah.
Stuntman on the PlayStation 2.
It's a cult for dyslexia. Yeah, absolutely. What about Mikey Verstappen?
Well, I mean, there's not really a pun on Mikey when you say that, and he's not a stunt driver. I dare you to make that guy
He's
crash.
a precision driver.
He's a precision driver, yeah.
I can't tell the difference between the two. You'd have to be pretty precise to be a stunt driver as
You
well.
have to be very precise. But you know, you need to be more like a professional wrestler instead of a martial artist. You need to be able to sell a fall as well as you need to dish
Yeah,
it
that's
out,
true.
You know what I
You need to
mean?
be a little more rugged,
Yeah.
cooler.
And that's why I'm a stunt driver.
Yeah, that makes sense. You do
Right, Andrew?
You do scream stunt energy off of there. Like, I don't care. I'll throw myself to a
Pane of glass.
Pane of glass. Yeah, pane of
Take
glass.
a hard left turn through a pane
and then
of
just
glass.
drink some whiskey after work.
Speaking of, what's in your coffee cup there, Andrew?
Black coffee.
Black coffee. Drinking out of my Overwatch mug. I like it quite a bit. So this is, as we mentioned, the 20-year celebration of a game, Stuntman. We're going to get into that game in a little bit, but before we do, if you're a new listener to this podcast, first of all, thanks for listening.
Where you been?
Secondly, that's a good question, Andrew.
Yeah, where you been? This podcast is over 4 years old.
It's over 4 years
Where
old.
you been?
But, don't scare them off.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, thank you for being here. Also, you can't listen to anything past year 3, before year 3.
That's one of my biggest fears. We should look, remasters are big in the industry right now.
Yes. We should just remake our old episodes. Oh my God, that's a great idea.
New sound design.
Yeah.
The new structure where we don't play the game on the podcast.
The
Hell
graphics look so much better.
so much.
Which
Well, they
is
actually
true.
do.
Yeah,
They
that is
actually
a
do,
real
thanks
thing.
to
Yeah.
Sean Bringia of Australia, of all places, who rebranded us. But no, typically what we do on this podcast is we take a look back at the games that we used to play when we were kids. Usually it's something we had an affinity towards one way or another. We rate and review the game as we remember it back when we played it. Then we actually take a break, play the game, come back and rate and review the game as it holds up in the modern day against like some modern games.
Right.
Also out of 4 bits. It's a really simple process.
It is. It's so
And
simple.
I'm honestly getting sick and tired of having to explain it to you, Andrew, as we start every episode because it's the same thing every time.
Yeah.
We record in my house. You knock on the door.
Yep.
You say, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And I have to start from scratch
Yeah.
every time and explain what I just explained to you. And then we hit record and I need to do it again.
Yeah. It's like it's a memento disease if I was illiterate.
A memento disease.
I just didn't write anything.
No.
And I'm just like, what? Wait, what are we doing? You're like, recording a podcast. I'm like, all right. Okay, cool.
So that's the thing about memento. How's he remember how to read? You know what?
Wow.
You know what would make a good? You know what would make a good movie?
Yeah.
Every time the cycle resets,
Yeah.
he's got to go back to kindergarten.
Right.
Learn as much as he can.
Right.
Is memento?
He cycles back,
Yes.
pisses himself.
He's potty trained. He's got to get potty trained.
You got to get potty trained.
He's got to get potty trained. Is Memento the first movie version of a roguelike?
Wow. Wow.
Kind of.
I kind of like that.
Kind
That's
of.
really good.
Or roguelite, I guess I would say. Those two things are different. But look, before we get on today's topic of Stuntman, we're going to talk a little bit of bullshit, a little bit of nonsense about video games, Andrew.
About video games.
Because apparently that's important.
Exclusively.
You said that in the last week's episode, in the little, I don't know, do people out there, do they know that we have
A stinger at the end.
stinger at the end?
Yeah.
At the end credits?
We always have like a fun blooper that
Yeah.
is something to do with the episode usually. Or
Yeah.
not.
Or not. Usually it used to just be one of us saying something embarrassing.
Yes. It was always us admitting to something really bad.
Yeah. Admitting to something really bad. It was like confession, basically. Basically what would happen is I would put a microphone in your confession stand.
Yes. I would.
Andrew, I want to hear your confession about, you mentioned last week that you beat Spider-Man Miles Morales.
did. Yeah, finally.
Part of the PlayStation Plus package
Yeah.
that you got along with Assassin's Creed
Thank you.
Valhalla
Yep.
and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
And Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes.
And Have you put any time into any more of those games?
Yeah, so Guardians of the Galaxy I've been playing, and I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy, I couldn't help but play because they were featured in Thor: Love and Thunder,
which came out just prior to us recording this episode.
Absolutely.
So it's obviously out by the time this releases.
And we're also on the Mushroom Club, Retrograde, at patreon.com/Retrograde podcast, going to be doing a bonus episode where we break down all our plentiful thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder.
So many thoughts. Hey, look, $5 US a month if you want to get our opinions on that.
Yeah.
You also get access to all of the gameplay portions. We used to include those in the regular portion of the episode, but now we bumped that over with video as well over to patreon.com/Retrograde podcast.
So if you want to see us play the game today, Stuntman.
And talk about Thor.
And talk about Thor at the same time.
Yes.
We should start doing that. 2 for 1. We're playing Stuntman, talking about Thor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Guardians, though, you did.
Yeah, I started playing. I've continued playing that, and I've continued playing Ghosts. And Ghost of Tsushima is a great game.
I knew you would love
It's
that
just
game.
a great game.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun. It's oddly precise in its fighting style, which I understand is about FromSoft. Excuse me.
It's a little bit more FromSoft. I mean, it borrows more from the mechanics of like an Assassin's Creed, but it is a lot more focused on the detail of fighting. I think the fighting mechanics are a lot more fun in a game like Ghost of Tsushima. I've had my issues with open world games that I've talked about plentiful on this podcast.
Yes, you have.
The reason I like Ghost of Tsushima was because I found the combat itself very engaging. I would find myself like, rather than avoiding conflict in that game because I just wanted to get to my next objective marker, I would seek out opportunities to have group fights, which I found very cool.
Yeah, the fighting, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I can't wait for it to be incredibly frustrating, and which I hate it, but it's constantly battling with MLB The Show and Fortnite, where I'm like, do I really want to play, whatever, where I could just do this for 30 minutes? Yes, stupid. Just
How many hours a week do you play Fortnite?
Oh, not very much.
No.
3 or 4?
Okay.
Not a lot. Well, no, actually, that's probably not that much.
Yeah.
Sorry, not even that much. I might play 3 or 4 games, which is like 20 minutes each.
Okay.
So an hour and a half. Well, I don't know why I changed it. Why I said 4 hours, but
because you're constantly making fun of me and how much I play Overwatch.
Yeah, that is true. But then again, I also don't post about Fortnite and then go on subreddits about Fortnite and watch YouTube videos about Fortnite and strategize about Fortnite. I use that as like a
so you're not committed.
I use that as a Winter Soldier-esque type code word, turning my brain off at the end of the night, where it's like Palace February, and I'm like,
isn't that Manchurian Candidate?
That's also Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah.
There's a lot of examples of code words activating people or deactivating people.
I actually think that's not true. I think
Really?
there's only
Petunia.
one. Oh, daddy. Oh, daddy.
Petunia. Okay.
Mommy.
Right. Yeah. Red October.
That's my regular state of being, is the mommy portion. You got me back.
Actually, before the podcast, I turn you into podcaster mode.
Yes.
And they don't want to know the real you.
Oh, no. Who would? I'm surprised that you do. So apart from Ghost, like getting deep into it, Ghost and Guardians, are you equally progressing in both of those things?
Yes, I am. I am. I kind of do a level or two, or whatever version, objective or two.
Yeah.
And then you kind of switch back, and then you're like, okay, cool. But to be perfectly honest, I haven't had a lot of time for video games. Video games really like taxing. There's been a lot of good TV on.
Yes.
Which I'm not going to talk about here.
We do that over at the Mushroom Club.
Yeah, we do.
Often.
But it's been nice having games that have story that make you feel involved and want to progress in.
Yeah.
That is always a rewarding feeling, instead of a game that just resets itself like Memento.
Yep.
Every 30 minutes where you're like, oh, back to the start.
Unless the purpose of that reset is to push the story forward.
Yes, like Memento.
Like Memento. And in a game that I've been playing that I talked about last week, Outer Wilds. I finally got back into that. It just seems to be having this weird resurgence in the culture of gaming right now.
Yes.
A lot of people are talking about the game. It is a marvel, this game is. I mentioned it briefly because I had played it probably over a year ago at first for a few hours, and I was like engaged and intrigued by it, but I kind of lost interest in it. Basically, there's just a cycle in the universe. The cycle lasts about 24 minutes or something like that, or in the galaxy, where you start off, the universe is very easily explorable in a very short amount of time. You have a spaceship that you can go into and explore all the different planets. You have to pilot them. Once you get on the planets, you can go inside them. There's little mysteries that you have to solve, and you're just piecing together the mystery of an ancient race that was like an ancient civilization that kind of was looking for the secret of the universe, essentially. And the way you do that is you send yourself to these different planets, you find these little breadcrumb trails, inevitably die somehow, and you start right back at the beginning, but you maintain your ship's log, essentially, which gives you little tidbits of information as to like where certain people are hiding, or where you can find them for more information, or how to trace the path of some of these, the ancient race that came before you. It is a weirdly difficult game.
Okay.
Because it's very obtuse purposely. The point is like it's a puzzle. It's a giant puzzle. And I think over the weekend, I legitimately put 6 or 7 hours into it.
Wow.
Like a lot.
That's a lot for you.
It's a lot for me, and I'm very intrigued, and I want to finish this game, but it's honestly like, it kind of amazes me that so many people love this game as much as they do because of how difficult it is to figure out where to go at any point in time.
Right.
Do you ever get this issue with games sometimes where it's like, this one is beautiful.
Oh, good.
And that's all I want in a game. I don't care about its personality.
Oh, it's superficial.
I just want a beautiful game.
A game. Just be beautiful.
You should smile more.
Oh, God.
Hey, game. You should smile more.
The game ejects itself, throws itself out the window. Oh, that's fair.
I jizz in a fern.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, but you ever find, like, if you've played a game for too long, usually it's in one sitting, you end up seeing like the code of the game where you're like, I realize all I'm doing is I'm like going in one direction because I'm following one clue. Yeah. They tell me what the clue is. Zane.
Yeah, you're following Zane.
I'm following. He is the only person from that band that I would follow.
Everyone keeps talking about Harry Styles now. I'm like, no, not in my world.
No,
Zane.
Although he's got a nice hairstyle. I mean, that's
Harry Styles.
Yeah, no one can take that away.
His general attire and outfits. Oof, there's a lot going on. I like it.
I'm not jealous of him at all.
No,
like, why are we even talking about me being jealous of this guy?
I didn't say that.
Okay, good. Because
you're not.
No, like not at all.
It's not. What are you doing?
Why are you accusing me of it?
I'm not.
Well, you just yelled at me a little bit.
No, I didn't. No? You're laughing maniacally.
What?
Yeah, no, that's weird. No one likes that. This is your Joker origin story. When you see Harry Styles on the cover of a magazine, you're like, oh, God, I'm going to burn down a school.
So here's my Joker origin story.
Yeah, okay.
I see Harry Styles.
Uh-huh.
In real life.
Oh, in real life?
Yeah, everyone thinks he's cool.
Yeah.
I shoot Robert De Niro in the fucking head.
Who happens to be around Harry Styles?
No, I gotta go find him.
You gotta go find him. You see Harry Styles and you're like, okay, one plane ticket to New York, please.
Bobby!
Bobby, I'm in Tribeca. Where are you at? I'm at Nobu.
Yeah. So, no, I found myself in the middle of this 7-hour stint of playing this game.
Mm-hmm.
And feeling like it was just one giant fetch quest. And the thing that I was hoping for in this game is that it felt so different from all other games that it kept my attention, and I couldn't wait to explore. And it is beautiful and there is a lot to explore, but when you really start to peel the layers apart, it is kind of similar to, in a weird way, like an Assassin's Creed game.
Oh, no, one of your favorite games.
You put an objective marker somewhere and you just go to it.
And then you also have to jump off high bell towers into
turn into falcons,
turn to falcons. Eagles. Yeah, you got to deal with Miles and his office bullshit.
Miles, I got to go to HR. I got to visit HR every so often.
No, I get that. That's like how I felt about like Mandalorian stuff, like where you watch 3 episodes in a row and you're like, so it's just the same thing every time.
Yeah.
And it starts getting less appealing. It's funny. I think about, you know this about me.
Yes. I'm
always on the cutting edge. I'm always like, the show comes out, I've watched it, I've seen it, I've played it.
You put a lot of words in my mouth there. I know that you're on the cutting edge.
Yeah? You say this all the time.
To whom?
In general.
Harry?
I hope. That'd be great. If you told Harry Styles that you're like, that guy's on the cutting edge, I would love you forever. I'd be like, wow, you told Harry Styles that? That's so nice of you.
Fine. Okay.
Why do you have a gun?
Here's on to find Bobby, baby.
Find Bobby. I gotta find some TV cameras and Bobby De Niro.
Okay, so if I meet Harry Styles, I'll tell him that you're always on the cutting edge.
Cool. What do you want me to tell about you?
I was gonna ask what would you?
I'd be like, that guy's fucking obsessed with you. I'd run. I'd be like, I'd fucking.
Great. And then it'll be like a Running Man scenario.
Oh yeah, that's
the most
good.
dangerous game, Harry Styles.
The most dangerous game. Hunting the most dangerous game of all, Harry Styles. So I'm always on the cutting edge.
Yeah.
These games that I've been playing through PlayStation Plus, and that's awesome. That's really cool that the service provides that.
Yeah.
And yes, I pay money for it, but whatever. Is that it's kind of like it is for the first time in my life. Also, I will say, I just finished Stranger Things season 3.
Oh, wow.
Season 3. I just want to make that incredibly clear. Season 3.
Yeah, you're behind a little bit.
I'm very much behind. And so it's very hard, other than this podcast, to find people to talk to about, like, so you guys like Miles Morales? And they're like, what? The game from 2020? I'm like, yeah, it's good, right? Like, yeah, I think I remember it. I'm like, cool. Like Stranger Things. I'm like, Stranger Things is good. And you're like, yeah, what about this? I'm like, no, not that.
The ice cream parlor scene was so cool.
The Russians and the ice cream, right? Good.
You're doing it all wrong. I knew that I wanted to play Outer Wilds, and I waited for this groundswell of momentum about that game to just naturally come back up. And it is.
Mm-hmm.
So now there actually are people that I can talk to about it. But I will keep playing it because I think the problem is I just played too much of it too quickly that I started to get a little bit...
Ice cream headache
a little bit.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And so I'll take a little bit of a step back, but I want to get back to it. I did the dumbest thing, man. I do this so
I believe
often.
that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's like, full stop.
Yep. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, end of episode 2. Mikey did something stupid. See you guys later. This has been the Retrograde Podcast.
Game over. Steam Summer Sale was going on.
Oh, yeah.
And I hadn't bought anything. And I always buy something for the Steam Summer Sale. So I went through and I was like, oh,
old tradition.
Outer Wilds is on sale. It was like $5 or something like that, or like $10 or something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I want to play it again. I did play some of it on Xbox Game Pass a year or so ago. But like, wouldn't it be great to play it on my Steam Deck? So I bought it, downloaded it on my Steam Deck, installed it, and then didn't play it on my Steam Deck. I just went back to Game Pass and played it because it was on my big screen. And I was like, why did I just do that? Like, what a dumb thing.
Well, it's almost like a donation at that point.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But now I own it.
You're supporting local artists.
Well, you know what? In a way, that's true because I got it through Game Pass.
Yeah.
I appreciate the game. And now I've given the developer some money after it's been filtered through the big hand of Valve and the Steam Corporation.
They take out 75% of the money.
Exactly. Exactly. But oh my God, going back to this game. Actually, here's a question I'll pose to you based on this anecdote.
I would love to hear this.
This is a puzzle game. You have to constantly track your process, and it is a little bit difficult to control. You need to remember the mechanics of it. Going into it after a year or more of not having played it and having to retrace my steps, remember what the fuck I was doing. You can't just look up a guide like, hey, for 3 hours into Outer Wilds, remind me what's going on. There's no like catch me up. Is there any game that you've played that you had like an hour or two with, took a break from, and tried to get back into and just found it nearly impossible?
Yeah, a game I talked about on the podcast recently, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Because I started it. We did this for the podcast where we said,
yeah,
we're going to play it, whatever. You and I both gave up right 8 to 10 hours in.
Yeah.
And then I let it alone for, 18 months.
Yes.
And I picked up again. I'm like, wait, what the fuck is this game about?
100%.
And I had to relearn everything that they taught me, except I had skipped a tutorial at this point.
Yeah.
And now had to figure it out on my own.
That's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
You know what? That's similar. Speaking of, I don't know why I always compare the two, but they're two very big games that didn't land that well for me.
Assassin's Creed.
No.
Okay.
God of War.
Oh, God of War.
God of War, the remake on the PS4. I put 12, 13 hours into that game. Yeah. And with Ragnarok coming out, I want to play that game because I want to play Ragnarok. And I'm like, well, I should beat the original God of War. Good luck to me trying to go back and figure that shit out after so long. That's
a good example because I've also done the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Where I went like, what was I trying to do here? Like, what objective was I going after? Also, like, I don't feel, one of the biggest issues I had with God of War, and yes, I know this is like some people's favorite game of all time, but whatever, is that the objective open world stuff did not work for me.
No.
And I found it really confusing to find out where I was going at any time and why I was going there. And so now taking a years and years long break, impossible.
It's going to be impossible. I'm figuring more and more about this out where like I feel almost a gamer shame of not liking open worlds because I'm like, do I just dislike video games more than I used to?
This has to be a segment, Mikey. Game and shame or shamer's game
100%.
Or
gamer shame. Gamer shame.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here playing like even Outer Wilds. I'm like I'm trying to get my head around what the fuck it is I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, there's just too much going on. This is once I've gotten my head around it and I know my objectives, the game just feels so fucking big, and sometimes I want a narrative to follow, because if you give me an area to explore, I have to explore all of it.
Yes.
And I understand that that's part of the appeal to some people who play video games.
Yes.
They like to be given the sandbox to turn over every stone. They get this sense of completion. to me, it's like agitating. So I've realized that, you know how often I talk about games with an isometric perspective on this podcast?
Yes, you do.
I think that's why I love those games. There's like one fewer dimension or direction to go into.
Yeah.
I can see the area I'm supposed to explore, and I explore it. I think that's why I love that perspective
That's
so much.
interesting.
Yeah.
It also could be your God complex.
That's not a complex, Andrew.
No.
No.
What is it?
It's a belief.
Oh.
I do have faith in a higher power.
Me,
baby.
Oh, okay. Well, you make it when you say it like that. It's so simple. Why didn't I think about that?
Yeah.
What's my gaming shame? Like, what's my gamer shame? Excuse me. I don't know why I keep saying gaming shame. Like gaming watch. I think it's outright refusal of certain genres. Maybe
I was gonna say you know what I think your gamer shame should be is your blind spot for the Zelda franchise.
Yeah, that's
pretty massive.
bad.
Yeah,
Oh no,
yeah.
that's really bad.
Yeah.
So wait a second. Sorry, gamer shame. Just give me a second here. But you're gonna get Ragnarok, and you think somehow you're gonna like that, even though you did not like the other one?
Oh man, listen.
You think it's gonna be that different?
Logically and rationally, I hear where you're coming from.
Yeah, I would say so.
But Mikey wants to buy games, baby. The only thing I like more than playing games is buying games.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. I don't
Just
know
like
why.
Kratos has an unquenchable thirst for revenge, you have an unquenchable thirst to buy as many games as humanly
100%.
possible. Yeah.
I buy them and I just, now I don't even have the physical copy.
collector.
I just know that they're in my library and I'm like imagining what it would be like to play those games. And then I sit down to play them. I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Well, you hear about the PlayStation Store taking away the digital copies of people's movies and stuff like that. Like they're shutting down whole things.
There are a couple stories like that.
Yeah.
There's also on Steam, Assassin's Creed, I think Liberation or Unity, one of the Assassin's Creed games, even if you've bought it, you can't access it after a certain point. Like,
So even if you have physical copy.
no. If you bought it on Steam.
Oh, okay.
But typically the rule is like, if you think about something like the Silent Hill PT, like that demo that came out, you downloaded it. They removed it from the PlayStation Store.
Yeah.
But if you downloaded it, you can play it.
Right. Okay. I see what you're
There
saying.
should be an amendment to any licensing agreements that say, if they pull it from the store, you still have this.
How is that not illegal?
It absolutely. And you know what really pisses me off?
What's that?
Is so this story was being shared, the Sony story about the movies being taken away, even though they've been purchased, and the Assassin's Creed game being removed from Steam at a certain point, so you can't play it even if you bought it. And the number of people who chime in and they're like, did you not read the licensing agreement? It says it right in there. You don't own it. It's just a release or this and that. And it's like, hey, dude, we fucking know that that's the point. But the point of what we know that that's in there. But the point of what we're trying to say is not, man, I didn't realize I wasn't good. It's the principle of the fact that it's being removed.
The point of license agreements is that they're super ambiguous and long, so
Yes,
you don't
you
read
don't
them.
read them.
If one of the lines was like, I'm going to kill your mother one day, and then your mother dies, you can't go like, well, it was in the agreement. Why are you so
Exactly.
sad?
Exactly.
You know, like, also, you're the worst person in the world
honestly,
if you're commenting that.
It just feels like
suck.
such a waste of space. Like,
Yeah.
Like, are you defending these corporations that just... No, there should be a contingency plan in there that if we remove it from the store and you have it on your hard drive... Look, if you delete it from your hard drive and you can't re-download it, sorry, there's not so much... It's not hosted anywhere anymore.
But if you get an email saying, in 30 days, this will no longer be allowed through the store, download it now.
Yes, yeah.
Sure.
Then
okay, great.
At least there's a warning or something like that. But that's so stupid.
I know.
Then
It makes me want to buy DVDs again.
honestly,
I know.
I want to move more and more of my life into analog, but I'm also really lazy, so I don't think I'm going to do that.
What am I supposed to do? Start reading books or something?
What?
God.
What'd you say?
Sorry. Oh, God. Sorry. I thought I was talking about books. Oh, God. Okay. Sorry. Even some of the point and click stuff when there's too much
Text.
words. Say it to me. Say it to me.
Read it to my
Say
face.
it to the most bland vocal.
Summarize it in like 3.5 sentences. The whole game.
Yeah. If you, we should do a game on this podcast where we summarize a very weird game in 3 sentences and you have to guess what it is.
Andrew,
Yeah.
I love this idea.
Yeah.
You
Try doing
vamp,
a
I'm
Kojima
writing
game.
this idea down.
Try doing a Kojima game in 3 sentences. You were like, and then it like normal man wakes up, snake monster eats him, and you're like, wait, whoa.
Wait, what game is that? That
I
sounds
don't know.
good.
I'm just kind of making it up. It sounds pretty good.
Game
though.
descriptions. You can hear me typing as I'm
Yeah,
doing this.
that's a
Game
good idea.
descriptions in 3 sentences.
3 sentences.
The fucking great segment. We're doing that every week from now
There we
on.
go.
And
Here we
also
go.
Gamer Shame.
And Gamer Shame, if you have a 3-sentence one, submit it to us. We will do
we'll
your
do it.
submission on the podcast.
Send it to the retrogradepodcast@gmail.com or find us at retrogradepod on
What's
Twitter
up?
or at retrogradeandy and at retrograde Mikey. This has been the Retrograde Podcast. Thanks so much for
Game over.
Oh, wait, shit.
Sorry. I promise I won't do that.
We have a game to talk about.
Oh, right. And that's a good game.
And a good game.
Yeah,
a
well,
game
we
called
think.
Stuntman. No, a game that definitely had mixed reviews. And a game that I actually didn't... but... Some games with mixed reviews actually turned out pretty good.
Right,
I
okay.
hadn't finished. Look, if something gets a 70, I think there's enough in there to warrant it being more than just playable by some people. And Stuntman was one of those games. It's a game that I never bought, but I did rent, and it got me thinking. I know I posed this to you a little bit before the recording the podcast, and you weren't much of a game renter.
Well,
all the time.
okay. I want
You didn't play video games.
What are video games? That's always what I'm trying to establish here.
Yeah,
We're on
yeah.
two different goals. No, I rent video games all the time. I just think you have a very crystallized memory of your childhood where I think I've just been like...
You buried a lot due to Catholic guilt.
I boxed it up. I boxed it up, put it in the attic, and I'm like, well, I'm not touching those boxes for a long time. I'm good with that. But yeah, so we're talking about your favorite rental games.
Yeah, games that you rented and didn't buy, but were kind of like, I would say it's like the sixth man of the year in the NBA. It's like the game that you didn't buy for your roster, but was there. And I have actually quite a few of them.
I'd love to hear that. Can you tell me though? And this is another one.
Yeah.
I want to hear from the D-pads. What was the name of the place that you rented from? Was there a cutie little mom and pop shop in your neighborhood or a local chain that we would have
love
never
that.
heard of?
I love that.
Like, don't say Blockbuster. If it's Blockbuster, that's cool. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But everyone had like this mall, like we had a little strip mall near us. And so I went to Videophile.
Videophile.
And it was like this really cool movie shop that I would have loved today.
Was that next to the shoe store?
No, it was next to a burger place and a convenience store.
Oh, the shoe store, Pedo, and then there was... And then they joined forces, right?
Yeah, and then Nail File. There was a salon next to it. Yeah.
Okay. No, mine was Game Player's Choice.
Oh, that's amazing. So it was a video game like place, like not a movie store?
Yep. It was right next to the McDonald's.
Okay.
So every time we went to McDonald's, my mom would go in line and order the food, and I would get like 5-10 minutes to run into Game Player's Choice and just like look around and talk to the guy.
Nice.
I was like that fucking kid.
Yes.
Who would just hang around there, talk to like all the customers, and like I sold a customer a Dreamcast once, and the guy gave me like 6 free rentals for it. Like I convinced someone to buy it. Yeah, it was great.
That's cool.
Fucking love that store.
There you go.
Game Player's Choice.
Yeah, let us know where you were into that. That's so cool.
So one of the games that I rented that left a good impression on me, which we have to do on this podcast at some point. Do you remember the game Blast Corps?
Oh, yeah.
On the N64?
I do.
I did. You know, when the N64 came out, those games were so fucking expensive. Like $80 not adjusted for inflation. So that's like must have been like $150 for a video game. It's fucking crazy.
So expensive.
Shadow Ops Red Mercury is a game that I don't know if anyone listening even knows what that game is.
No.
It was a first-person shooter on the Xbox. It was a military game. I don't know what it was about it. I fucking loved that game. I played the shit out of it.
Yep.
Return to Castle Wolfenstein
Oh,
on the Xbox.
yeah, here we go.
I ended up buying it like 3 or 4 years later, used for like $10. But that was the first, maybe the first console online game that I played. There was a level where you would like storm the beaches of Normandy, essentially, and I would just play that level nonstop. It was you versus whomever on the other
Nazis.
team, or you could be the Nazis.
Oh, you could be the Nazis.
Yeah.
You against the Allies.
And I remember I would start the match up, and if I were the Allies, I'd say, "Fuck this."
I'd be like, "What am I fighting for?"
Fuck this.
Yeah.
What am I fighting
Freedom?
for? I
Get
don't
out of
believe
here.
in this.
Get fucked.
I don't believe in this. Soldier Boy's going to come and clean this up for us.
Oh boy.
Or is he? And then the last one I want to mention, one of the most underrated games of all time, Freedom Fighters on, I think,
You've
the PlayStation
talked
2.
about this before.
It's a fucking phenomenal game. I didn't buy it because I rented it and played it nonstop until I beat it. Similar to Ape Escape, the original Ape Escape.
Wow, yeah.
I rented, played through the entire thing. I was at a sleepover. We stayed up literally all night and beat the game from start to finish in one night.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a fun story though.
a great story.
Those are only childhood stories. If you and I stayed up all night and beat a video game, I don't know if it'd have the same appeal that when you were like 10.
Well, yeah, now it would feel pathetic, I think.
Yeah. Then I'd be like, oh, the rest of my week is fucking ruined because I stayed up to play Ape Escape.
Now I got to catch up on my sleep. Although, I've been thinking about this a lot.
You have?
Just staying up with you, Andrew, and playing video games.
You've been thinking about it a lot?
Like we used to do in Perfect Dark. We would just set the Sims up and throw laptop guns. And
I love that game.
We basically made like a tower defense game out of Perfect Dark where we would sit in one area with laptop guns. We would throw like mines and stuff and just like eat popcorn and watch all the Sim bots come at us because we'd be on the same team. And, as long as we were like safe with the laptop guns and the proximity mines and everything like that, we were good to go. And it felt like those scenes in zombie movies where you're like the team is like holed up in a safe shelter, and just that little oasis of time in those movies where it's like safe and cozy.
It's a dream.
Fucking love that.
I love that.
Love that.
I've always loved tower defense games, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, my rental that I was thinking about was I never bought Tomb Raider. And so I rented it, and it's probably I was way too old to figure this out, but I was like, the only reason I knew Lara Croft was like...
Also, congratulations on saying Lara.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate that. Laura Croft. With Lara Croft was because she was sexualized.
Yes.
And so like the beginning of the internet, it's like, oh, look at this. Oh my goodness. And I think I had apprehension about like going to my parents going like, I'd like to get Tomb Raider, please. Was because they were like, you want to buy pornography?
You may as well have said, hello, Mom and Dad. I'd like to jack off to pickles.
Yes, exactly. I would like Mommy's Milker's Jugs XXX. Can we buy that? Is that okay? And they'd be like, no. And so I was afraid that that's what was going to happen. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to rent this game.
Yeah.
And then remember playing it and going like, this is what this game is?
Yeah.
And kind of being underwhelmed even at the time.
Dude, I didn't love it either.
No.
And in fact, we went back and played it on this podcast a while ago, and it did not hold up. And we said the same thing when we played it. That game did not leave a great impression on me, unlike Lara herself. So that was a quick little fun one. But the game that we're focused on today is obviously it's Stuntman.
Stuntman.
Came out 20 years ago, June 23rd, 2002 on the PlayStation 2. And weirdly, I didn't realize this, also the Game Boy Advanced, which it turns out the Game Boy Advance version, which would have been a different game entirely, developed by a different company as well. But the Game Boy Advance version actually had better reviews than the PlayStation 2 version. I think the Game Boy Advance is the best handheld system ever made.
Right.
I think you've established maybe like the Game Boy, like the original Game Boy, but the Game Boy Advanced, for when it came out, felt so far ahead of its time, and it was the perfect like amount of hardware versus creativity, and it just felt like that the sound chip was amazing, and it was a ton of power in the pocket. The biggest problem is it didn't have a backlight when it first was released, so there were issues playing it in dim environments, but I loved it. So I'm not surprised that a Game Boy Advance game had a really good rating on there.
Yeah.
It didn't come out. This game didn't come out in Japan though until September 1st of 2005. So 3 years later.
Whoa.
Weird, eh?
Yeah,
over 3 years later.
Like, were they clamoring for it? Like, why would he even do it at that point?
That's my question, right? Like,
that was my question.
Oh, did you ask that?
Yeah, I just asked it right now.
Sometimes when I don't know what actually goes on, but sometimes you do that thing. You know when you do that thing where your mouth moves while I'm trying to talk?
Yeah, no, I'm speaking.
I don't. What is that?
You don't like when I speak? Is that what you're trying to say?
What does that fucking sound? Jesus Christ.
It's when I speak and books.
I'm so bored right now.
The two things you hate the most. If I was like, hey, Mikey, have you heard about this book? You'd be like, well, that's it. Just jump off a cliff.
If you were to pull an Andy Kaufman and read The Great Gatsby to me from start to finish, I would vomit all over you. But it's a driving game, Andrew.
Okay.
We're dealing with a driving game this week. And I know driving games aren't your favorite. They're not my favorite either. But this one's a little bit different. I believe it goes a little something like this.
Yeah.
It's a really cool premise. How familiar are you with this game, by the way?
Slightly. I have played this game before.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was like, it was probably a rental, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
I didn't buy it, and I didn't beat it.
I didn't beat it either. I remember it being notoriously difficult. I remember people talking about its difficulty in the reviews and in the articles about it. That was a big discourse around it. I wonder if it is as difficult as people remember it being, but I do recall that the control system, this was old enough in gaming, that the control system was not trigger for gas, right trigger for gas, left trigger for brake. It was A to go. That is so outdated in racing games. You just don't do that anymore.
No.
Don't fucking do that.
Hey, we've let you know. You don't do that. Not around here.
Not around these parts.
Not around here.
I'm going to tell you something.
What's that?
You're heading in that direction where it's A for accelerate. Guess what?
What?
pop that handbrake,
Oh,
do a 180,
yeah.
drive your ass out the other way.
Yeah, absolutely. Into a better configured controller.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A better of roses, more like. 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
about to shoot you.
The trigger's not the only thing that's going to be pulled.
Oh, well.
I'm going to kill you.
So what else are you going to pull?
Pull that A button. A stands for asshole.
I'm going to press A, shoot you in the face. And then press F to pay respects. So a reminder for the listener maybe who hasn't played this game. Basically, the premise is you're a stunt driver and you have to perform scenes which are going to be inserted into movies that are kind of based around driving scenes. Now, when you complete a stage, and the stages are essentially comprised of like little tasks that you have to complete, right? You drive to the end of the street and then a director will shout in your ear and be like, handbrake 180, and you have to do it inside a certain box, and you do it. If you hit it, that's 1 point. Then you go to the next thing. If you miss a certain number of objectives in one round, then you fail.
Yeah.
If you succeed, then you get paid for that stunt. If you succeed in all of the stunts on a movie set, then you actually get to see like a trailer for the movie, which has like an FMV sequence for the movie, and then it inserts your actual stunts that you did in there, which is
pretty
really
cool.
fucking cool.
No,
it's very like the premise is great.
It's turning a very kind of tired genre on its head.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
And that's why, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you recall when I said this, Andrew, but this game's a little bit different.
It really is.
It really is.
What was the game we played on this podcast where I just remember the tutorial being very hard, where we had to get the car in the parking garage?
Andrew, I'm so happy you brought this up.
Okay, good.
One of the most notoriously difficult tutorials
Everything's so notorious.
in gaming. Notorious.
Yeah.
B.I.G. was there.
I was going to say.
Conor McGregor was there.
That Brooklyn rapper. Was he there?
Yes,
Oh, he's very notorious. Yes.
there.
Conor McGregor, I didn't even think about it. That's good.
Yeah. He's the Notorious.
Yes, he is. Yes.
At the Notorious MMA. That's Driver that you're talking about.
Driver.
This game, while it was published by Infogrames, was made by Reflections, which turned to Reflections Interactive, which is now Ubisoft Reflections.
Yeah.
Reflections, games that they made, The Division 2.
Hey, I like that.
Watch Dogs 2.
Yeah, Watch Dogs, yeah.
Just Dance 3 and 4. And,
Okay.
no, I was just telling you.
Oh, Just Dance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Telling you?
All right.
Okay, here's my rating. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, what do you think?
S tier.
S tier?
Yeah,
Wow.
as in, oh, sorry. Tears. I'm crying.
yeah.
Because it moved me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was real.
To kill myself.
Oh, no. That was a real roller coaster of a
Because I
review.
know I'll never experience joy like that before. Again.
Well, that's really nice. Is that the end?
Yeah.
Oh, that was really
Of
nice.
the lie that I was
No,
telling you. Because that
come
fucking
on.
sucked.
Oh, man.
My dick, and that feels really good. The other game that the franchise that Reflections made,
Yeah.
Driver.
Wow.
So
there's a lineage.
there is a lineage, and it makes sense that they're taking this, as you mentioned, stale, worn out concept of driving in games.
couple
and
ball
you're
tires.
adamant. You say no driving in video games.
I don't wait. No, I didn't say
Yeah,
that.
I remember
No.
people always ask, like, where were you on this day? And it's like, where
January
was Andrew
6th.
on January 6th? He was standing outside the Capitol with the Bristol board that said, no more driving in video games.
That's why we're all here, right?
Right.
Yeah, like Nancy Pelosi needs to hear this. I'm like, I guess if Nancy Pelosi, I guess I'll tell her. I've got a sign.
to shit in Nancy Pelosi's
Oh,
trash
you're
can.
also wearing a fur jacket? That's interesting. Okay. Well, you guys got a lot of guns. Okay.
So it makes sense that that's the lineage, right? I want to play this little game with you, though. I mentioned that the levels are essentially
You're like Saw. You want to talk about a little game?
It's time to play a game.
Okay.
It's called Monopoly. So, listeners, take a break. Andrew and I got some Boardwalk and Park Place to monopolize.
Oh yeah, boy, do we.
The movies are given names and a little bit of flair and distinction to them. So they're all
Sure.
themed around a certain thing. I'm
Okay.
going to give you, Andrew, look at us playing games today. I'm going to give you the title of the game or the title of the movie, and you're going to tell me I'm going to give you 1 point if you give me the genre
Okay.
of the, like, kind of like the rough genre.
Yeah.
2 points if you tell me like the director or movie it's imitating.
Okay.
Okay.
I gotta do like a 3-sentence thing like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
Okay.
So here's the title of the first game.
Okay.
And if you need a clue, I'll give you one.
Okay. Thank you.
But then I'm not giving you any points.
Because I do not appreciate weakness.
No, I
do
hate
not
weakness.
reward weakness.
That's why I stare in the mirror and I say, you fucking asshole. The first game or first movie, Toothless and whopping.
What was the last word you said there?
Whopping.
Whopping.
Mhm.
Like Whopper.
I think it's a city.
Toothless and whopping.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's a fight, like it's a boxing movie. Like it's a sports movie.
No.
It's an action movie.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
But it's in the vein of a Guy Ritchie movie.
Oh.
So the clue I was going to give you is toothless and whopping.
Oh,
eh?
yeah, okay. Yeah.
Cheerio, bruv, governor.
Yeah.
In it. Is that racist?
In it? No.
No. What I just did.
No.
Okay, good.
Absolutely not. They have it coming. No.
You daft cunt. I can say it.
Yeah, you can. That's the English. They're allowed to say it.
Here's one. Whooping and a hollering.
Whooping and a hollering.
And I'll say this. The clue I'll give is I'll say it in an accent or style.
Oh, boy.
That will...
Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that?
I'll do my best.
No, you don't have to.
Okay. Well, then please don't ask me to give you a clue.
There's no clue that you can give me that's not doing an impression of it?
I'll give... Okay, here's the clue I'll give you.
Thank you.
In the middle of your guess,
Yeah.
as soon as you're saying your guess,
Sure.
I'm going to pause and say, I wonder if he's going to get it right. And then we're going to cut to commercial.
Okay. It's a Western. No, cowboy? No.
Kind of.
No.
Keep in mind cars. Like it's
Cars.
yeah.
Oh, he's riding cars.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, you're right. This one's about horses.
So in the,
Andrew!
Ride like the wind, bullseye.
You're a good podcast.
Nay.
You're doing so well for so long. Okay.
Welcome, new listeners.
Whooping and a hollering. God, it's like Dukes of Hazzard?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because I paused it. It's
Yes,
like, I wonder if
yeah.
he's going to get
The car's in the air and they go to a commercial.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
This
Nice.
one's going to be tough.
Okay,
Blood
fuck yeah.
Blood Oath.
Blood Oath. A mafia movie.
Close. John Woo. John Woo style movie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Set in Bangkok.
Nice.
Conspiracy.
Conspiracy. Ooh. It's not just a conspiracy military movie or something like that.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Yeah, it's just
no car races.
We need you to be background in this one.
Just drive very slowly. Make sure you stop at all the red lights. No, it's a Tom Clancy.
Oh shit. Well, I did say military.
Yeah.
Tom Clancy has never made a non-military movie, so
Not the ones I've seen.
yeah. Or his 200 books. Rest in peace, Tom.
Yeah.
He died of overworking. Just too many
I think
books.
he's like Tupac. We're still getting shit.
100%. Books just keep coming out of the ground by his grave, and you're like, oh, okay.
They say that when you die, your corpse keeps producing hair and fingernails.
Yes, he keeps producing books. Yeah. And just like, I'd be creeped out, but he still got it.
In the zombie movie, it's like the hands come out of the thing. His is just a hand holding a book, and then you grab it and he gives you a thumbs up, and it just goes back down under.
Terminator style.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
The Scarab of Lost Souls.
Scarab of Lost Souls. I'm going to go with Scarab says Egyptian, so maybe a classical period piece. Well, no, there's cars.
Keeps coming back to this.
Shit. There has to be cars.
Yes.
In ancient Egypt. It's Scarab. Maybe a museum heist. A heist.
And what kind of movie would that be?
A heist movie is a chase.
Museum though.
Don't
drop your fedora and your whip.
Wait, mafia?
No, fedora. Leather fedora, I think.
Leather fedora. What is happening? I'm getting further away from it, I feel.
And a whip.
And a whip. Oh, Indiana Jones?
Indiana Jones.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes way more sense.
Is
anyone getting this at home? I just want to know, am I fucking up bad?
It's got to be tough
Okay.
for you to be so bad at this.
It's actually quite easy.
It was very natural.
It really does. It's so easy. It's crazy.
I wake up and I'm like, I'm going to be pretty tough today.
Well, I don't know a single thing. Look, checking my arms. Nope. Don't have the answers. Okay. It's the first time I'm doing this.
Yep, but I did piss myself. Okay. Live twice for tomorrow. This one's easy.
Fuck off.
This one's easy.
Live twice for tomorrow.
Think about how convoluted that title name is.
Live twice for tomorrow. It's a science fiction movie?
No.
Okay. What was your... Sorry, you said you were going to give clues. I've gotten one and it was an accent.
Fine. Here's a
Thank
clue.
you. Live twice for tomorrow.
For tomorrow. Live twice for tomorrow.
Oh, Bond. James Bond.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Live twice for... Yeah, absolutely. That's James Bond.
Yeah.
Fuck. God, I'm really starting to have self-doubt.
I was gonna go because there's a sequel to Stuntman which came out in 2007, and I was gonna do the movies from that one, but I don't know how well are you doing.
No,
at this?
do it. Keep going. Let's go. I'll do it quick. I'll do it.
Okay.
Live 4 times for tomorrow for next week.
Aftershock.
A disaster movie.
Exactly.
Thank you.
There you go.
Still, I'm warming up.
Here's one. No clue. Just how much were you paying attention? Whooping and Hollering 2.
Oh, it's an English movie. It's a Guy Ritchie movie.
No.
Oh wait, Whooping and Hollering's not that one?
No.
Oh shit, what was Whooping and
Andrew,
Hollering?
that's Toothless and Whopping.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't immediately
You fucking
identify
idiot.
that one. Whooping and Hollering was that was Dukes of Hazzard.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Strike Force Omega.
That's either military or science fiction.
It's A-Team. It's
A-Team.
the
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Overdrive.
It's
This one's tough.
It's a car movie.
Yeah.
Yep. Overdrive, is it like a horror movie like the Stephen King one with the truck coming after
No,
him?
that would have made a lot more
Yeah.
sense. This one's like Bullet or Starsky and Hutch or something
okay.
like that.
Overdrive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe like a Death Proof or something.
Yeah.
So here's a good one. Never Kill Me Again.
James Bond.
Yes, but which one is it after? Can you
Kill Me Again.
keep in mind this is 2007? So like which Bond movie?
Only Live Once? Only Die Twice? Or whatever?
Die Another Day.
Die Another Day.
Die
Fuck
Another
me.
Day. The Madonna
It's funny
one.
that you could pick names out of Madonna one.
You're gonna die another day.
It is funny that you could jumble yourself into a James Bond title. If you pick
Yes.
names out of a hat, like we just said the exact same thing twice and you're like, no, it's this. I'm like, same thing.
Live, die, and a bunch of prepositions. That's
Love, die, live. Yeah, all
a
those.
noun somewhere in there and just
Yeah.
boggle it and you're good. Night Avenger.
Night Avenger. Oh. Superhero movie?
Yeah, which one?
Batman?
Yes.
Yeah?
It's on like the Tim Burton ones. Like imagine that would be
Okay.
a great level to play.
Absolutely.
So hopefully you had fun with that game at home.
The second one I did better than the first one.
Yeah, you did. But it took you a little while to warm up.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Some of us need to
Yep.
warm up
Warm up.
to your personality.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Stuntman, look, there's not a ton to say about the actual gameplay of this game because we laid it out pretty easily. That's why I wanted to play this game to kind of freshen up and lend some life to this franchise of Stuntman. Like I said, kind of a cult classic. A lot of people remember this game. A lot of people spent a lot of time with it. I mentioned rentals. When I rented this game, I was actually on vacation somewhere.
Oh my
we
God.
went up to a nearby place. It was a couple hours away. We drove there, but they had a TV in the room and my parents were going with their friends. So I was going to have a lot of time on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought my Xbox up, or my PlayStation 2 up, rented this game and played it. And it was fucking great. Loved
Wow.
it.
You brought your PlayStation 2 with you on vacation?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, it wasn't like a beach vacation. It was just like going away to like a golf resort. And I had nothing to fucking
What are you going to
there.
do?
Yeah.
Only get in trouble.
Play Stuntman.
Yeah.
Getting into trouble.
Get into trouble. It's a kid's film. It's a kid's film where they're driving. He's a babysitter. I'm going to do this the rest of the time now.
It's a movie about Andrew around a schoolyard.
Yeah. Wait, what? No.
Yeah.
I'm too good.
Too good. So the reception of this game, I mentioned the Game Boy Advance, 77% for the Game Boy Advance version.
Wow. So higher than the normal version.
Higher than the normal version,
Okay.
the PlayStation 2 version, a 71%. So mediocre, but there's room for enjoyment in there, like I said. EGM gave this one a 7. GameSpot gave it an 8. The all-important Maxim gave it an 8.
Whoa, that's a new one.
And Maxim gave all their video games 8s because an 8 sideways looks like a pair of tits. They're like, an 8 out of pussy. And you're like,
Yeah. This gets a 9 out of sexiness and it gets a 69 out of arousal.
did you ever buy a Maxim at an airport?
Maybe not at an airport because if I was like 25 and traveling alone, yeah maybe probably
Yeah.
for the articles. But the problem is Maxim was at its prime when I was 15. So it's a little tough when I'm like traveling with my parents. I'm like, you know what? I want a Maxim.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
No, I would never
Then
reading
why
it on
are
an
you saying
airport.
this story like at an airport, like so specifically?
Because I used to always see people buying those magazines at airports.
I remember as a young kid, a guy bought a Penthouse because this is how old I am. That you could still buy those at like at like a whatever getaway or whatever they're called, and just reading it on the plane.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
And being like, what the fuck? Even as a child,
Just
I was like, that
rock
guy's-
hard. Just rock hard.
I'm like, what the hell's wrong with that guy? Like if this is just total normal behavior,
What does
that
he
guy's
do
into some
behind closed
sick
doors?
stuff. Yeah,
I bet you this is his sick stuff. He does it in public, so he
Yeah.
doesn't have to do it behind closed
Yeah,
doors.
no, I'm just glad I avoided him like looking at me and winking. And I'm like, oh no, I need to get away. Dad.
Getting into trouble.
Yeah. Hootin' and hollering.
Game Informer.
Informer.
Gave this one a 9.25 out of 10.
Whoa.
Informer.
Generous.
And GamePro gave it a 7 out of 5, probably. No, it was a 3. I just like to make fun of GamePro's reviews.
I'm surprised Gabriel didn't have a review.
No, it was a 3 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's critical.
That is damning.
That is the worst game of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also need to close this magazine. We just played the worst game of all time. Stuntman.
Every week, the editor-in-chief just bewildered by one of the games.
Every week, we need to shut down this magazine for one reason or another.
So Andrew, you played this game back in the day. I played this game back in the day. Did you play it enough to warrant a good enough opinion?
I think
about
so.
this? So let's get into that then, because we've spent the past few weeks playing games that we didn't really have much of an Infinity Wards when we were kids, but since we have this experience playing it, let's give it a rating out of 4 bits based on our experience of playing it way back in 2002 when it came out. Andrew, do you want to start us off?
I would love to start us off. Okay, so out of 4 bits, I really liked this game.
Yeah.
I was so excited when we decided we were going to play this game. I have so many good memories of being very frustrated by this game.
Yes.
But at the same time, it was only frustrating because the payoff was so good. The payoff was so good. The trailer was good, but even the execution of the actual stunts was so rewarding because you're like, because in your stupid childhood brain, and actually maybe in my stupid adult brain, I was kind of like, yeah, that's kind of what they got to do.
Yeah.
They do have to nail their parts, and it's got to happen exactly like you do. Except I'd be the worst stuntman in the world when I take 30 tries to get something right. I put the production out of budget, and I'm like, well, that's too bad.
But they'd pay you less in the video game if you did that. So
That's true.
Yeah.
And, fair. I was really bad at it because I was a child. They shouldn't have employed me.
I would grab the check. I would look at it, shed a tear,
Yep.
shake their hand, and thank them.
Yeah, to be like, you got the job. This is solid eye contact and a firm handshake. I really like this game, but like we're saying, it was never a bot. It was never a serious play. But I have so many good memories. I have to give it a 3 out of 4.
Nice, 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
I definitely remember being frustrated with this game,
Yes.
but this was one of the early memories I have of a game which frustrated me, where I knew it was my fault for not succeeding. The controls were pretty tight. They were pretty consistent.
Yeah.
The traffic moved in the same way every time. You had to hit your line, and if you didn't, that's on you.
That's showbiz, baby.
What?
That's showbiz, baby.
That's showbiz, baby. You got to hit your mark.
Yeah.
You got to hit it.
Got to hit it.
Wahlberg, Ruffalo.
Are these the top stars in your mind?
No, these are marks. These are the marks.
Oh,
you
these
have
are
to
the
hit.
marks you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wahlberg and Ruffalo. Those are the only ones.
Iron Man, Mark II.
Oh, well.
Thanks.
Andrew,
Appreciate it. Yeah.
taking it a step too far.
Okay.
I do not co-sign on this joke anymore. So I really enjoyed that process of satisfaction once you get to the end of it. Games like Super Meat Boy would do something similar, like very difficult games that you could beat really quickly if you could nail it on the first try. And I remember things like Super Meat Boy understanding that what's very satisfying about succeeding in something like this is getting to see your progress at the end of it.
Sure.
Super Meat Boy does it in a way where they show all of your deaths and then your final success once you actually get to it. Stuntman would show you the movie. It would show you the final product and you feel like proud of it.
Yeah.
In the way that, like, when you're trying to write an essay or a song or something like that and you crumple up a piece of paper and throw it away, but then you see your final version, you're like, I really put some blood, sweat, and tears into this. It felt good. I felt the same way about this one. I hesitate to give it more than a 3, though, because I didn't buy it and I didn't beat it, but I did really enjoy my time with it. A 3.5 feels like I'd be stepping a little bit too far there because there are some really great games that got a 3.5. This game just felt more like a very novel concept that I had a solid amount of time with, but didn't need to extend my time with it any more than that.
Well, there you go. So 2 3s, that's a 6 out of 8. Pretty good score going into the gameplay.
Yeah.
And I am so excited. Do you think we're going to be better at this game?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think games have just started to demand a little bit more from us in this way.
Yeah.
Not in like a patience perspective, but just in like, okay, what do I really have to, what is it actually asking me? What am I getting wrong and how do I fix it?
Yeah.
I feel like that's always been an element of games, but as a child gamer, I was not good at understanding that and unpacking that. Now as a like a smart, wise, capable adult as I am, and who you will hopefully grow into one day, I can recognize my mistakes and learn from them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Prison was good to me.
I found God.
I punched him in the face.
Do that again, and I swear to God, I'm coming back up here. And you just took the stairs back down. You did that thing with St. Peter on the way out. You flinched. Okay, so we're gonna go play Stuntman. I cannot wait for us to be throwing a controller back and forth together. Like, you do it. Like, fucking hell. This is gonna be so much fun. So go over to patreon.com/Retrograde podcast to find that gameplay. And until then, we'll see you soon.
In 2 shakes of a Chevy Impala's taillight.
You know, if you're doing the Dukes of Hazzard, you know what I would have done?
What?
That's
That's too easy.
Not for me. I'm stupid.
Just a reminder that you can now find our gameplay segments where we play through a portion of today's game and provide video commentary while doing it over on our Patreon, patreon.com/the Retrograde podcast. Join the Mushroom Club for $5 US per month for access to all the gameplay, plus 2 to 4 bonus episodes per month where we do things like character drafts, top 10 lists, and even take some suggestions from our community. So show some support to the podcast by joining the Mushroom Club at patreon.com/the Retrograde podcast for access to bonus content and all of our gameplay segments. We'll see you guys on the other side.
And welcome back to the Retrograde.
All right, guide the episode.
Yeah, you better turn left here.
Take a left turn.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, Thor. Yeah, we just played Stuntman, and we are now back from playing it. Interesting game.
It's honestly, look, we set up the premise before the break.
Yeah.
We played the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the premise holds up, and I think the game holds up. I'll say, you know, without tipping my hand too hard.
Okay, don't tip your hand.
Before we went to go play it, you know, establishing what the game is going to be like and getting a chance to experience it, I didn't feel surprised in any way. Not in a good way or a bad way necessarily. It was exactly what I expected from the outset. I was like, here are the directions.
Yeah.
Let's follow them.
Fair enough. So that's, I would agree with you. Also, my non-tipping hand thoughts about the game is that what we thought it was going to be, it was.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is interesting.
It was what we thought it would be.
Oh, one of the marks is back.
Yeah, exactly.
So Stuntman. Okay, so if you don't know, very similar.
We knew what it would be. That's another mark.
Yeah, it is Mark.
Well, the same mark.
Yeah, same mark.
Different movie.
It's the plants. That's another mark.
Is that a Happening reference?
Yeah, it's a Happening reference. His most famous movie.
Not a I could have stopped 9/11 reference.
If thank God I wasn't on one of those planes.
Thank God.
Because those terrorists would have killed him. Like they all lived. So in Stuntman, like we talked about earlier, you have a little stunt that you need to execute that is precision.
Call it a line. Like you have a line that you have to do for each stunt.
Okay.
Like a line that you have to hit that consists of like 7 or 8 marks. You know, like in one of the
Oh no. It's at every
don't hit that mark. He'll hit you right back.
At every turn, there's a Mark Wahlberg trying to stop you from doing what you're doing.
And the
Thank God me and my kids aren't here.
The directions from the director: hit him.
Oh God, hit him! Get him out of here.
No, so let's say like it starts off, and you got to I think one of the first ones we did, it was like. I'm having trouble remembering the one I did, but because I was watching the one you were doing so intently. So you start off, you go up a ramp, and it's like hit this buoy off of a thing. You hit that, and it's like hit these boxes in a warehouse.
Yes.
Make a turn through these containers, and then it's like do an air brake turn.
Yes.
So all these different things,
jump. Yeah.
All these things you have to do at specific points in time. If you miss them, that's okay. You have to get to those marks.
Sorry, I'm still laughing about marks. Every time Mark comes up, I'm like, that's very funny.
You have to hit those marks at a certain time. And as long as you get there in time, you're good. But if you miss the action that you have to do, you're still allowed to go to the next one. You'll just get less points when the level ends.
And like it's also a very simple course. I would say it's a tight course, but if there wasn't these moments in which you need to swerve around a car or hit these boxes, wait, what are you laughing at now? Hit these boxes. It would be very simple. You would have to perfect it with the turns. What is going on? Can I tell you a story about actors? Maybe to get your mind off it.
Yeah.
So my player one, when we were traveling recently, and there was a play where we were, and a very famous actor was in it. And
named?
Well, I'll get to it.
Okay.
And he goes, so she looked at me and said, like, do you want to
fucking hope it's Mark Wahlberg?
No, it's not. Yeah. It's not a mark, but I just
okay.
I can't figure a way to tell the story otherwise. She looks at me and says, do you want to see this play? And she shows me the bill, and I'm like, oh, I know that guy. That's great. And she goes, yeah, Ralph Fiennes is in it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, who? And she's like, Ralph Fiennes. And I was like, you mean Ray Fiennes, right? And she looked at me like, and looked back at the bill and went, No, wait. No, Ralph Fiennes. Like, I'm the idiot for thinking. Well, first of all, fair. Ralph and Rafe.
How is he spelling his name like that?
How in the world does he get away with that?
It's because he's Ray Fiennes.
It is. Fiennes, I get.
Because it's RALFE.
Yeah.
FIENNES or something.
Yes.
That is not Ray Fiennes.
But it's also not Ralph Fiennes.
It's closer to Ralph Fiennes than Ray Fiennes.
So every time now we watch some Ralph movies, that we every time I'm like, hey, it's Ralph.
Oh, I love Wreck-It Fiennes. That's my favorite one. That's my favorite movie.
Okay, so there you go. That's a short story about actors. But yes, the courses are so tight that it would be precision driving no matter what. You still don't want to hit these walls or these tight things or these, whatever.
Right. So when I say you can miss something,
yes,
you can do so, but you still need to keep your pace up. And if you miss more than one, chances are that was you.
I know I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
We got the giggles. We got the second set.
Second half sillies.
Second half sillies. So you're there's like a clock that you have to stick to for the overall course, and then there's a clock in between stunts. Yeah. So if you hit a stunt and you've got 6 seconds to get to the next one,
yes,
you're looking at my knees.
I'm trying not to laugh right now. I don't know why I'm still, because then you said miss, and I was like Missy Pyle, and I'm like, no, stop doing actors. Stop doing actors. No one's looking for word association right now.
There is some poor soul who found this podcast because it was the only one willing to talk about Stuntman, and we spent the whole gameplay segment talking about Mark Wahlberg and Ray Fiennes.
What did the podcast think about the game? I don't know, but all I can keep saying is Ralph Fiennes around there. Like, what the hell is that all about? Do you know Mark Wahlberg thought he could stop 9/11? This podcast taught me that. Well, here we are. That's what information we're trying to give you.
Okay, so I feel like we've done a great job of explaining the structure of each level.
I think so.
I mean, it's so basic.
What is?
There's not more that we can say, but what did you feel about the actual driving mechanics?
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a little tough because in this kind of game that expects precision out of you, I feel like that's like the magic word. Like it's a Pee Wee Herman thing where the couch is going to come alive and scream at me.
Yeah.
I'm going to say precision 1,000 times here. But in a game that does, the whole game is precision. It's about what?
Don't know.
What is wrong with you?
Sorry.
So in the game that expects precision and like hitting a handbrake and avoiding this and swerving in this way and stuff like that, the driving controls aren't that good.
No, they're not. And one of my biggest complaints, it's what I said before we even started, is acceleration is right trigger. It is not right trigger. Acceleration is A. Brake and reverse is X. Yes. Or sorry, if we're a PlayStation controller, it's X is acceleration.
Yes.
Circle
Square.
is circle is handbrake. Square is stop and reverse, and then triangle is just cancel out. So a much more simplistic form of controls.
Mikey,
that's not me.
No, that's not me. Honestly, we can't. Let's just not look at.
Let's not look at each other. This is going to be hard.
Good.
The last time this happened to us was the origination of horse eggs.
Yes, the inception of the horse eggs episode.
Go back. Listen, we often don't recommend going back and listening to earlier episodes, but Destroy All Humans was that episode.
And it was me crying and laughing so hard I was pleading with you to stop the episode.
Yes.
Like you could hear it like a whimper in my voice, like I was getting tortured. Yes. I was like, Mikey, please stop. And it's honestly, that one, and you know why? Because we just mentioned the horse cast earlier, and that's the reason because of it.
Yes, so it gets silly. It gets silly.
So that's a book ending there, sunrise, sunset.
So the thing I will say about this, though, is for a game that has controls that are less than ideal. Yeah. Because I would like the right trigger acceleration and left trigger brake. I tried to customize the controls so you can't do it. For a game that doesn't have that, it still controls as expected. I honestly think the controls are good enough. You had some issues with the handbrake at one point.
You know what's so funny? I think it controls like a GTA game. Like, I don't think the driving is like...
It's not great.
It's not, but it's very serviceable. But I wonder if that is... going against everything that the game is trying to advertise to you. You need to do things very precise, and then the controls are like,
Well, you do need to do things precise, and as long as a game gives me something consistent to work with, I'm okay. Like, it can be GTA controls or it can be Gran Turismo controls. It doesn't.
What do you think would be better?
Gran Turismo controls, but
we agree.
No. Yes. So. Is this a perfect game? By no means. But I'm trying to say that is at least the physics and mechanics are consistent enough that it's saying, this is what I need you to do. Here's your tool set. I'm like, you gave me a flathead screwdriver. I'd rather have a Phillips Is that good?
No, it's good.
Yeah.
Robertson, Phillips. Yeah.
But I'll figure out a way to get it done.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, like I can use the tools you gave me to get the job
You give
done.
me a rubber chicken. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well,
Deal.
figure it out.
Yeah, I wanted a hammer and you gave me like a stone. It's like it's not ideal, but I
Right.
can get the job done. There's if we're trying to find ways to say how this game isn't perfect, I can give you a ton. But I want to start off by giving it a baseline like this game is playable.
Oh yeah,
It's
no,
totally
absolutely,
playable. Yeah.
absolutely. You know, yeah, absolutely, it is. So, like, no, I'm with you. I just think the game is it's so unique because it's what its greatest appeal is. It's asking you to do something so very different than any other driving game.
Yeah, I can't think of another game that does this.
No, that's why I brought up Driver earlier.
Yes.
Because it's like this like weird like time yourself going around and then do a U-turn and then
Right,
hard
right.
turn and then stop it. Like it's asking very specific things. That's really cool.
That's a good point. They basically made a game based on the tutorial of Driver.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Which is great, which is cool because we
It
liked
is.
that stunt.
We
Or
did,
that-
and it was
that
like
tutorial.
frustrating in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Instead of just going like, here's the Daytona 500, here we go. But by the way, my favorite racing game of all time.
Daytona 500.
Absolutely. And so instead of just doing that around the courses the whole time, it's asking you for something very specific. Now, when the game is so simple about these very tight courses and very small maps, when it makes it harder to ignore when the biggest element isn't perfect. You know what I mean?
That's
I'm not trying to harp on it.
I get what you're saying. It's like if a chef is making you a meal and is saying like, I got the best cut of steak you'll ever imagine.
Yeah.
And he's like, so this whole meal is going to be based on just this cut of steak, no dressings or anything. And he
Right.
gives you the steak and it isn't good. Like the meat itself isn't good.
It's
this
one slice. It's a little petite like plate, and it's one slice.
Sure.
And you're like, oh, okay.
The core of what was supposed to make this
Right.
thing up
Yes,
is not
yes.
satisfying in the way that the game thought it was going to be satisfying. And I get that.
when you're doing an a cappella version and the vocals aren't great.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. It's the thing that should make this shine is not as good as I've felt in other mechanics I felt in other games.
Yeah.
However, the dressings around it, go back to the Pokemon Snap corollary.
It is, yes, the strongest corollary that we've ever conceived.
the strongest
Dr. Mikey and Dr. Andrew, our PhD, that would be our proposal. It really would be. Our thesis would be like the Pokemon Snap corollary.
Right.
The conceit is so interesting.
Yes.
That it makes up for a lot of messiness.
Because in between stunts, it's as though there's a documentary being filmed on the set of each of the movies where the stuntman's like, well, look, we're filming this in Britain or London, wherever he says. So the driver's on the other side of the road, but this is a car with a left-sided driver. So we fixed a steering wheel to the left side that's rather small, so they won't see me. And it's like explaining an element of stunt driving behind the scenes that I never would have known.
It's charming.
It's so charming.
It is. It's charming because they also do it in a way that like looks and sounds kind of shitty.
Yes.
Like the driver clearly is not a personality. That's why
He's
he's a
bored
stuntman.
because it's his work.
He's like, so
Yeah.
so that's why I put my hand on this side.
Yes.
And I thought that, and you're like, that's so cool because
Yeah.
it could have been like, hey guys, I'm a really cool guy. And they're like,
Yes.
no, that sucks.
No, it's great. It's just a guy who shows up to work and is asked to explain what he does. Like
Yeah.
if you work in an assembly line or something and you do something every day and someone asks you to explain what you're doing, you're not going to be like, well, it's great. The product comes down here
Yeah.
and I give it that. And
It's honestly the appeal of like The Office.
yeah.
Like the
Exactly.
appeal is that they're all kind of like normal
Mundane.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
mundane.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Unlike Garfield, who hates mundane.
oh, he hates mundanes. Yeah. No, you're 100%
Thank you very
correct
much.
about that. Oh, by the way, the animal that what's the animal that the dog's name that he hates? Garfield
Odie.
hates. Odie's nuts, bitch.
Oh no, man! You got a real mind goblin going there.
I'm not going there.
Okay.
I'm not going there.
Okay, that's good. You have a lot of restraint.
Do you like the band Imagine Dragons?
Do I like the band Imagine Dragons?
Yeah, this is just an unrelated question.
No. Okay, so moving on. Oh wait, why?
Oh, so you wouldn't like you wouldn't like to imagine Dragon D's nuts across your face?
Once again, the answer is no. No for both.
Asked and answered. All right.
Oh, there we go. Very good.
Well, I'm gonna have to find a new birthday present for you.
I saw recently it was the Top Gun Maverick, which we did a whole episode about, but so go back and listen on the Mushroom Club. And it was like, oh, the original soundtrack is pretty much just like the old songs and the songs by Lady Gaga. And you're like, yeah, it's a pretty powerful song. And One Republic. And you're like, we can't win them all. Okay.
You can't win them all the stunts in this game either because
I was awful at this.
You know what? It surprised me. because you're usually pretty good at like picking up and getting to know a game, and especially something where it's like, here's the thing that you just tried to do.
Absolutely.
Do it again.
No one was more surprised that I was bad at it more than me. I had such confidence. I was like, I'm going to crush this.
I was reveling in it though.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
must have loved it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I want to watch the movie where the stuntman fucks up time and time again, as long as that stuntman's name is Andrew Pascal.
I'd love to see the star having an increasing pile of cigarettes next to them that are burnt out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, guess another one. Fucking yeah, okay, here we go.
This is where, if you talk about bringing a game into the modern day, like ways you can improve it. We already talked about making the controls a little bit better. You actually made a good point when we were playing the game. It's like, what if the director got more and more upset with you as it went on? Like, what you're hearing in each playthrough of this is the same voice lines every time, no tone changes, but it would feel cool if it were a little bit dynamic.
I would love if the director, I also, just as a pressure of a player, I'd love if he's like, we're out of budget. This has to be the one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I would be like sweating and gripping the controller and stuff like that. And it's almost effectively a game over, but it feels an organic way of storytelling of a game over. Right. Instead of like, well, you're dead because you lived 3 times. Like, well, what does that
we got to
mean?
write the scene, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
Like that, honestly, like for a career path, if there were enough movies, like there are, 6 movies or something that we went over in this. If there were 30 movies and your career path took you on a trajectory that only hit
like
some of them. Yeah. It's like, well, you failed at this one, so you got to start kind of at the bottom.
How about this for an idea? There's like a big stunt at the end or something like that of your run. Yeah. And you only got one shot at it.
Oh, that's fucking great.
And so when you don't get it, it's like, well, I guess we can't use it.
That's great.
Oh, man, that would be
for
fun.
like an added bonus of money and all that stuff.
It's a jump and fireworks go off.
Yeah,
like, well, we only had the one fireworks. So
see, like those sorts of things. There is a game in here somewhere that is special, like actually special. And I feel like they've always been close to it, even with Driver. It's been close to being a fantastic game, but hasn't quite gotten there.
Yeah.
And going through the career and getting the different movie sets and all that stuff is cool, but it is a little bit repetitive. If you like that kind of like set piece, I can imagine some of the different levels being something you go back to because you've learned it inside and out and you can do the reverses and everything. However, the first time going through each line, I found that a little bit frustrating because there's no way to know what's around each corner.
It's kind of an insane way to play the game. Or like forcing you to play the game.
No, for sure. So my recommendation, I don't know if you agreed with this or not, would be to show kind of like a flyover of what happens in the scene first, even if it's storyboard it for me.
Yes, storyboard is a good idea.
So I like, it hasn't happened yet, but I know what is coming up because you'll go around a corner and then it's like quick right turn and you immediately miss it or you don't get the right direction.
Yeah. Or your first level, it was like, oh no, you got to stop and back up here.
Yes.
Like, how was I supposed to know that?
Yeah, because the director's not giving you a ton of detail, and you don't know it until you've tried it 3 times, and then you finally get it right.
I kind of like the idea also if he just verbally told me. Like it's like you show an FMV of the 2 of them sitting there and going like, so you're gonna take a right, you're gonna miss this card, you're gonna go left, you're gonna go right, and so in your head you're like, okay, I don't know what it looks like, but I've heard him say it. So now I could do it, and at least there's an interpretation in there.
And that's not going to change replay value, but I do think there's something to be said about nailing it the first time. Like one of the coolest experiences in a FromSoft game is hitting a boss for the first time and beating it and being like, how the fuck did I do that? Like that is crazy. I almost feel like that would be nearly impossible in this game because of some of the tight corners and blind corners that you have to go upon. But that would be like my major complaint with the game, apart from the controls, is just the lack of an organic feeling to it. Even though someone is yelling directions at you, it's still hard to figure out on your first try. But I think we've kind of laid out most of what we got, Andrew. Do you want to get into our reviews of this game?
Mike, I'd love to. So we got 2 3s before for a 6 out of 8 in our retro scores. Let's go to our current scores. Okay, so this game is
and as a reminder, this is how the game holds up in the modern day against the likes of modern games, like Ghost of Tsushima, Miles Morales, like
those are 2-year-old games.
Well, fine. Let's say Gran Turismo,
Elder Scrolls, Elden Ring.
Jesus
Christ.
Elden Ring. I hope to get the
I heard myself. I heard myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it.
No, all of our listeners heard you too. They didn't like it either.
We can edit this, right?
Oh, fuck.
What?
I forgot how.
You forgot how?
Yeah, I didn't even remember that was an option.
Elden Ring.
Mm-hmm.
I got it right?
Mm-hmm.
Elden Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks very much.
Mm-hmm.
Did I get it wrong again?
No, you got it right.
Oh, okay. Jesus Christ. Elden Ring, which is, of course, what I said the first time.
So, Andrew, how does the game Stuntman hold up to Elden Ring in the modern day?
I think it's pretty good. I remember what Stuntman's name was. And so I think it's really
true,
4 to 4.
true.
Okay, so with the 3 before, it was because I remember it being frustrating but fun. Well, here's the thing. Kind of the same.
Yeah.
Like, it is a really unique concept in which you don't see that today.
Yeah.
Now, I will say the game is limited, and I don't know if that you could do that and go like, this game's $70 now.
Sure.
Because it is so limited in its scope and with the number of levels. But at the same time, because they're not replicating something like this, it has to stand on some kind of merit here of being like, that has to be a real, bonus point for it.
Sure.
So the driving's not great, but it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It is so much fun. It's such a fun idea. The movie posters, the movie trailers, the whole thing behind it. I really liked it. And so I'm going to take a whole point off of it because of the weird driving controls and stuff like that, but I'm still going to give it a 3 out of 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Yeah. What's the thing?
Part of reviewing a game in the modern day against like some modern games is that you have to bring
Like Scrolly Ring?
like Elderflower.
Elderflower.
Yeah, Elderflower
Such a good
Ring.
game. Very hard.
Very hard. Very hard.
I played it.
Is that in the modern day,
Yeah.
you can do things like we did with this game where like I've got an Xbox Elite controller, which has
Right.
paddles. I can rework the controls to customize them in a way where essentially a gas pedal can be used by one of the paddles.
Right.
That's pretty cool. And that essentially fixes the problem that existed in 2002, which I couldn't have fixed back then. So I could sort of revamp the controls of this game and bringing it into the modern day. Like I said, I can't think of another game like this. And what I think would have been seen as limitations in the gameplay back when it came out, which is like, hey, there's 6 movies, only a set number of levels, a stunt playground. It's not that elaborate.
Right.
Is kind of a mechanic that I appreciate nowadays,
Okay.
a limitation in the scope of a game, kind of like what I talked about in the open world games.
Right.
So I think the fact that this is a memory of a bygone era in a type of game that we just don't get anymore, and B, is literally a style of game that I don't know if I've ever seen since.
Right.
And C, can be improved with modern hardware. I'm actually going to give this a bit of a bump. I would love to play more of this game.
Wow.
With modern hardware, with the paddles, even without the paddles. I just
Yeah.
think that the idea of sitting down with this, you can probably beat it in a night
Yep.
or a
Yeah,
night
yeah.
and a half
Yeah.
or something like
It's a real
that.
ape escape.
A real ape escape
Yeah.
situation. I'm going to give this one a 3.5.
Wow.
It went up in
You're
my,
going to be a 3.5.
it went up in my esteem. Because here's the thing. I don't like, I have to be consistent. And the fact that I will knock against.
We don't have to.
I choose to be as a professional.
Well, you choose to be. Okay, so you don't have to be.
I'm
but you choose to be.
consistently hypocritical. I'm consistently,
A liar.
as according to our listeners, I'm consistently a person with bad opinions.
Wow, do our listeners think you have bad opinions?
Well, the vocal ones do. No, but seriously, like if I, which I often do, like if we play a game like a third person action game on the PS2, and I'm like, hey, if we want a third person platformer game or something like that, they exist in the modern day with way better controls. Why would I play this version from 2006 or something like that?
Right.
If I wanted to play this game in a modern version of this game, it wouldn't exist. So for the same reasons I have to pull away points from a game that is generic then and is generic now, I should be giving a little bit of credence to something that was so ahead of its time that it hasn't been mimicked yet. And that's why I'm giving this one a bit of a bump with a 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
So that's a total score of 12.5 out of 16. Oh my God. Good score for you.
It's a good score.
Yeah, no, it's a good score for the game. Like, I mean, like, good job by them.
Yeah,
You know?
I didn't know if you were talking about me or the game.
No, you was the game. And I wish.
am the game.
Oh yeah, very good. Motorhead's here. I wish they'd remake this game.
Honestly, so I'm curious. I'd like to go try the 2007 Stuntman Ignition on the PS4. I'd be curious to see how that holds up. But you know, I would highly suggest if anyone's out there with the rights to this game, do a fucking Kickstarter. I don't care. Let's get another version of this game out
I
there
love
somewhere.
it.
Yeah,
absolutely. So 12 and a half, 16, pretty good score. But I'm gonna see if it gets any awards.
Oh, the awards. There's only one way to find out. We have to drive our way over to the red carpet,
Yes.
Andrew. So
Everyone drives down the red carpet.
here's the thing. You sit in the passenger seat.
Okay.
But it's a British car, so it's going to look like you're driving.
Oh, cool.
I'll drive us over there.
Okay.
I'll tuck my little head down.
Is it going to be like one of those like driver education cars where you also have pedals?
Yes.
So we both have pedals.
Yeah, we both
so we're
have
competing
pedals.
against each other.
It's going to be, if we want to drift, we have to really coordinate this. Yeah.
It's going to be like a Pacific Rim type thing, like 3, 2, 1, bang. And they're like, all right, good, very good. We're sharing a mind meld.
We do have to figure out how we're going to share the horn, though, because there is only one of those.
Absolutely. And it is also a Dukes of Hazzard horn. See? Mind meld. Perfect. All right, let's go to the award ceremony.
All right.
You've been waiting for it all year. The most glamorous award ceremony of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grady's.
Wow. Here we are.
Beautiful. Todd Snap.
Todd snaps
Taking
there,
pictures of
snapping
cars.
photos, taking pictures of cars. Hey, Todd, eyes are up here.
Wow.
Grill's down there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So are you a car person?
Not enough. Like, here's the thing. If I said I was a car person to a car person, they'd be like, "Oh, what's your favorite engine?" And I'd be like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about."
That's why it's so much easier for me to go, I am not a car person.
Yeah, I usually say I'm not, but I do have an appreciation for certain cars.
Do you have a favorite car of all time?
Yeah, I think it would be a Dodge Challenger of some sort, like a 70s era Dodge Challenger.
Ah,
yeah,
very
yeah.
interesting.
What about you?
I love the old Detroit cars, so like big Pontiacs, like big boxy Pontiacs
yeah.
and stuff like that. Also, the 1972 Porsche that Jennifer Connelly drove at the end of Maverick, and I'm like, oh, so you're the perfect woman ever, right?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. You can also sail me around. You own a bar, and then you show up in that car, and I'm like, oh, wow. So yeah, you exist in real life. Okay, so there we go. All right, Elliot.
Elliot's here in his full stuntman gear.
He is. Yeah.
Elliot was a stuntman before he was the engineer on our podcast.
I didn't
actually,
know that.
Our
Really?
producer on our podcast.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry,
oh my
Elliot.
God, Elliot. I'm so sorry. Did you work on anything big?
Oh, Italian Job.
Whoa.
Wow.
Jesus.
You fit in a Mini Cooper? That's surprising, actually.
I'm surprised
to me.
you're so rich.
Hey, there was someone on the set of that movie.
Was there? Who?
His name's Mark Wahlberg.
Oh my God. Did you meet Mark Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg. Yeah. Oh, you tried to get to know Edward Norton, and Mark Wahlberg got in the way and said he wanted to be friends with you.
Wow. That must have been tough on your neck looking down at him the whole time.
It must have been. It must have been.
You're very tall and big.
Yeah, and don't you dare look down on Mark Wahlberg.
No,
He could have saved us.
no
from
one looks
9/11.
at it. Oh my God. Do you think that's how Mark Wahlberg celebrates 9/11? Like the day I could have done something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Elliot, why don't you reach into that breast pocket of your stunt driver's uniform and reach into that, grab that envelope and let us know the awards this game won. The wine cellar.
Ooh. Take a nice little swirl.
A nice swirl. Oi,
Yeah.
I'll find you toothless and whopping, my dear boy.
I go to a very expensive auto shop, and so they always, when they check my oil, take it out and swirl it in a wine glass.
course
And
they
they're
do.
like, oh, the color is very beautiful on this
Do they
one.
spit it into a little, what do they call it? You should know.
Spittoon?
No, what's the thing that,
Spittoon.
it's not called a spittoon.
Yeah.
We'll take this out off air.
Okay, sure.
By the way, Toothless and Whapping, if you weren't watching the gameplay, is the name of the first movie that you're filming stunts for. So I'm not that
It's the
crazy.
Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah. Also, I've killed a bunch of my my technicians for my car because they keep swirling oil in their mouth. It's killing them, and I don't care. It's a nice shot.
They're worthless. We don't
Absolutely.
care. So the wine cellar is where it's got a higher score in the modern day than it did in the retro score.
Yeah.
My favorite award. I fucking love it.
Absolutely, because it means that we had a great time with the game.
And a better time than we would have in the past. A game that gets better with age.
Yep. Just like wine.
Oh, fuck!
Right. That's what the name is.
Oh, see, here's the thing. The listener doesn't know this. We came upon this podcast. We were raiding tombs.
Yes, we were excavating.
We were excavating.
Absolutely. And then we're like, you will do a video game podcast. And I'm like, how is this from 2,000 years ago?
This is crazy.
This is
and that's
insane.
why I do believe in the younger Dryas and the
Sorry, what's this?
Göbekli Tepe, the civilization that lived well before the Egyptians that taught
Oh.
them everything they know.
Yeah.
They were extinct because of the younger Dryas, but they passed on some knowledge, including the Sphinx to the Egyptians. It's all real. It's all real. And
It's all real.
It's all real.
There you go. No fighting on this one.
No. I'm
It's
not.
all real.
This is not a gimmick.
This is not a joke. This is not a joke. And I would appreciate it if you did not take it like a joke.
No, not like a joke. But Andrew, look, the Wine Cellar, a great award for a great game. Honestly, I really enjoyed my time. I had a really good feeling before we started this episode. I really thought that this one was going to come and do its job, and it did. Like a good stuntman.
Absolutely. Yeah. Showed up on set, just nailed it in one take, left out. And then also hightailed and just left. And it was like,
in the car.
He deserves that car.
Okay, I guess. Yeah,
I guess it. Yeah, that's good.
In his mind, it's like how Black Noir sees like the cartoons and the boys. It's like he's seeing like unlocked new car and he drives away in that. We're like, that's not how this works.
I kept thinking about Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
This game was a ton of fun. If you can find it, it's not easy. Go back and play it because it was a ton of fun.
Hell yeah. Definitely go do that.
Absolutely. We love every single one of you. Thank you for watching. Or listening or watching. You should be watching.
You literally went cross-eyed there.
Did I really?
You really did.
Wow. So if you're watching, you saw me go cross-eyed, but thank you for listening. We love every single one of you, and we can't wait to talk to you soon. My name is Andrew Bascom, and with me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Mikey Aaronworth.
This is the Retrograde Podcast.
Game over.
They knew!
Want more Retrograde in your life? You can visit our website for show notes at theretrogradepod.com. Follow us on Twitter at Retrograde Mikey, at Retrograde Andy, and the podcast at Retrograde Pod.
Or Instagram at The Retrograde Podcast.
For bonus episodes, check us out at patreon.com/The Retrograde Podcast.
Send your questions and business inquiries to the retrogradepodcast at gmail.com.
See you next week, D-pads.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
That's Mark Ruffalo driving a car.
Hey there.